Hey y'all, so I'm going to talk about a scary topic today. It is all about automatic revocation of your 501c3 tax exempt status. Whew, that was a lot. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, this is Tiffany with Boss on a Budget. I help new and small nonprofits get up and running. If you need help with your nonprofit, make sure you're subscribed to this channel because I drop videos every week. So y'all, this is a scary topic, but it's a real topic. And I want to talk about it because it's real. It happens to people every single day, and I want you to know that you can recover from it. So today we're talking about the IRS automatically revoking your 501c3 status. What does that mean? That means that there's a process. If you don't follow their protocol, they will automatically yank your status and send you a letter and say, hey, your status is gone. You need to do something about it. This is what you can do, right? Or you need to let us know what you're doing because you haven't been following the rules. Now, I'm not explaining it in the most politically correct way I could, but that's just the reality of it all, that if you don't do certain things with the IRS, then they can automatically take away your 501c3 status. And I'm going to share in this video how that happens and also what you can do about it to fix it. So just a few things before I go deep into this. All of this information that I'm sharing today is in an IRS publication. It's on the IRS website. It's in IRS publication 2014-11, and I'm also linking it below so you can read for yourself. You got to do your own research. Don't just take my word for it. Go do your own research so you know where this information is coming from. And then one more thing, I'm just talking about public charities today. It does reference private foundations in the publication, but I'm talking specifically about nonprofits that are public charities. And if you don't know the difference between those two, make sure you check out the video that I'm linking above so you understand what the difference is. So first things first, how can the IRS just automatically take away your 501c3 status? This happens when you don't file your 990 tax form for 3 years in a row. So if you don't file the required tax form, what's going to happen is on that third year, on the due date of that tax return, they're going to send out a letter and say, you haven't filed your taxes, your status has been revoked. And I want to tell you that this is a real conversation. I've actually been a part of a nonprofit where this happened, and you literally get a letter in the mail, and it's one of those moments where you're like, oh gosh, what do we do now? So I'm going to explain the process that the IRS has for you to be able to get your status back if you're watching this video and you're in that very same position. So why does this matter? Why does it matter that your 501c3 tax exempt status is taken away? First things first, if the IRS is no longer considering you a tax exempt organization, that means if you're making money after your status is revoked, then you probably have to pay taxes on that, and they're going to want their money. So you're going along thinking that you're a nonprofit, and no, we don't pay income tax, but as soon as that status is revoked, the IRS is going to come knocking. So that's one reason in particular that you want to make sure that you keep your status, because eventually if it's gone, you're going to have to pay taxes on the income that you're making. Number two, this has a huge impact on your donors. So if you have people who are donating or plan to donate money to you, once you no longer have tax exempt status, they can't deduct those on their taxes. Now this can get a little convoluted, so I'm not going to get into the details of the fact that the IRS may or may not trace who you donated to, all of that. I'm just saying that you do not want to be in a position where your donors find out that they donated to you, but they can't write off that donation, right? So you want to be completely transparent, and you don't want to be put in a position where your donors feel like you misled them in any way. So that's another reason why you need to guard your tax exempt status and make sure that you file your tax forms so you don't have to end up in this situation. Another reason why this matters is because of your eligibility for grants. So a lot of funders, before they even allow you to apply for funding, you've probably seen this, they have like an application and they make you put your EIN in the form, and they automatically check against the master business file from the IRS. Now, if your status has been revoked, you're not going to be on that list, and that funder is not going to be able to find you, and they're not even going to let you apply because you're not found on that list. And to them, it's not showing up that you're a tax-exempt organization. So you lose out on the opportunity for grant funding. And this can really matter when you're going along and you're expecting to get funding for a program, but you find out that you're revoked. And it takes months, sometimes up to a year, to get your status back. It can really cause an issue with your programming and with your funding. So that's another reason why you want to pay attention to this. And then finally, if there weren't enough reasons to pay attention to this, losing your 501c3 tax-exempt status may impact your eligibility at the state level. So there may be certain requirements that the state has for you. Like, in order for you not to pay state income tax, you have to have federal income tax exemption. And when you lose that, then the state's going to come a knocking. Also, sometimes states require that you have 501c3 status before you're allowed to fundraise in their state. Now, every state is different. These rules change from state to state, but some states are like that. So once you lose your 501c3 tax-exempt status, you can't even ask for money in that particular state. Okay, so that's another reason. It just impacts your funding. It impacts your ability to plan because it disrupts almost everything going on with your nonprofit. So I can't say it enough. Make sure you are filing your 990 tax form every single year, even if you don't. Listen, even if you don't bring any money in, that's not enough reason to not file the form. You can still put 0 on the form and file it. Okay, so make sure you're filing your 990 tax form, and I have the link to the tax form below. And there are also 3 different versions of this form. There's the 990N, which is the postcard, the 990EZ, and then the 990 full form. Now, there are different income levels for each one of those, but again, I'm going to encourage you to do your research to figure out which one is best for your organization. I'm just linking below so you can see them. So now I'm going to share 4 ways that you can get reinstated, and it depends on the circumstances of your nonprofit. So you can use one process over the other, but it just depends on what category you fit in. So I'm going to explain the 4 different categories, but I want you to know that I'm not an accountant and I'm not your accountant. I love saying that because it's true. I'm just giving you general information, and now it's up to you to take this information and apply it to your nonprofit and get the services of a professional to help you get your status back. So there are 4 main categories of reinstatement. And the first 3 categories are for retroactive reinstatement. So that means that if you apply using the process that they outline for those 3 different categories, you can get your status reinstated from the date it was revoked. So there's no date of interruption for your tax-exempt status, basically. It becomes seamless once you get it reinstated. So there's no interruption in people being able to deduct their donations and stuff like that, right? The 4th category is just for postmark. That means that it's just the date that you filed for reinstatement. That's when you get your status back. So there is going to be a gap between when you had your status and when you didn't, because you weren't eligible for the other 3 categories. So I hope this makes sense to you all. And again, make sure you check out the IRS publication because it spells it out for you. So the first category is for streamlined retroactive reinstatement within 15 months. So that means that in the 3 years that they used to determine that your status needed to be revoked, you only had to fill out the 990EZ or the 990 postcard. Then you're eligible for the streamlined process. But also, if you've never gotten your status previously revoked and it's within 15 months that you got notice that your status was revoked, or you were put on the list for the IRS for your automatic revocation. So if you meet all of those characteristics, or if you meet all those criteria, then you may be eligible for the streamlined process, which is a lot quicker than the other processes and a little bit easier to fill out than the other processes. The second category is retroactive reinstatement within 15 months. So with this category, it's not streamlined. So that means that if at any point during those 3 years that the IRS is counting, you ever had to use the 990 tax form instead of EZ and the postcard, then you can't do the streamlined process. You have to use this. You have to fit into the second category. Now I'm going to put the income limits for the 990 tax forms in the comment below so you all can see it for yourself. in black and white. But again, this is all available on the IRS website. So this means that you're applying for reinstatement within 15 months of you getting the notice that your status was revoked, or within 15 months of them putting your name on the list. And you have to do a similar process. You have to file again for your tax-exempt status, but you also have to submit a statement that explains why your taxes weren't filed. Okay, so all of that is detailed in the publication. The third category is retroactive reinstatement after 15 months. So it's exactly as it sounds. If you're filing to be reinstated and it's 15 months after you got notice or after your organization's name was put on the list, so that means that if you fit within this category, then there's a list of things that you have to do for organizations that fit in this category. And one of those things is that you have to submit a statement that explains why you did not file taxes for every year that you didn't file those taxes. And then finally, the fourth category is just postmark date. So for whatever reason you don't fit in the other three categories, you're going to be asking for reinstatement, but you won't be able to have it retroactive to the date it was revoked. So there will be a gap in when your organization had tax-exempt status, and that may have implications for your donors, that may have implications for grants, but it also may require you paying a penalty to the IRS for you not filing your tax returns. So all of this can get really tricky and really complicated and convoluted. So my advice to you is that if you have had your status revoked, I suggest that you connect with an accountant that is familiar with filing nonprofit taxes, and you partner with that person to help you get your status back. But what's the moral of the story today? What is the number one lesson I would give to you from listening to all of the details that the IRS has listed out for this process? Just file your 990 tax forms. Okay, so even if you feel like, well, we didn't make any money, so why do we need to file it? You need to file every year, because what's going to happen is if you don't, you're going to get a letter in the IRS, and it may not seem like they're paying attention to you, but they really are. So you just want to make sure that you stay on the up and up, that you follow the rules, and you don't have any issues that could really hinder your progress as a nonprofit. So if you need help with your nonprofit, if you have questions, be sure to visit me at www.bossonabudget.com, and I will see you in the next video.